Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has not been going well for Rocksteady, and it holds as an example as to why you shouldn't buy Sweet Baby Inc. games. But of course, they just recently released Mrs. Freeze, and it is going terribly for them because it is launch weekend, and they are drawing in virtually no players, and everybody on the internet is roasting her new outfits. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I tried to give this game a chance when it initially released, but I have not touched it since finishing that initial playthrough, just because it was so bad. I absolutely love the Arkhamverse games, and it is such a shame that they did such a terrible job with the Suicide Squad game because they had so many people, millions of people, who would have bought a continuation of the Arkhamverse that actually felt genuine, that was actually made by people who wanted to give fans another entry into this franchise because they simply wanted to make people happy, but that's not what they did. They took something that people knew, in this case the Arkhamverse, and they twisted these characters into shells of who they once were, and they did everything in their power to disrespect the fans that they had lined up to swipe their credit cards, and ultimately it didn't turn out well for them, the DEI route, simply because this game did not sell. We know it lost Warner over $200 million, which is insane to think about. And of course, they've continued to put out the DLC. The first character was the Joker, which didn't sit well with people either. And even that had a significantly higher bump in players compared to the recently released DLC character, Mrs. Freeze. Now, I have already made a couple of videos on her, but specifically yesterday on launch day, which was so bizarre, they decided to put out this character on a Thursday, which is not a smart plan in my opinion. Unless you're a behemoth of a developer like a From Software, you shouldn't be launching games on a Thursday or DLC on a Thursday, but they decided to, and their player numbers were abysmal. I don't know if they thought that they'd be higher. Now, of course, they did actually see a significant increase because it was averaging about 100 players. Some days it would get up to 230, but the maximum amount of people they had in-game was 572, which again is significant compared to their averaging 125 players. But it is now Friday, the day after release. Of course, they were setting themselves up for this like 4-day weekend as if that was going to help them. And it's already topping out at 437 players. As you can see, judging by the chart, it's not actually really going up at this point. It stayed pretty steady at around 437 to 440. And these are awful. This is what happens when you put the least amount of effort possible into something and you hire activists. Rocksteady is a shell of the company they once were, and the activists that fill their ranks don't actually know how to create really good products. And then, of course, you have to add on to the fact that people are boycotting Sweet Baby Inc. titles, even though Sweet Baby Inc. is a company the media tries to defend and these developers try to defend. Gamers are not buying their BS. It's just not happening. I mean, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was the reason why Gamergate 2 really started. Yes, there were other titles before that SBI had worked on, like God of War Ragnarok, Alan Wake 2, but Suicide Squad was what drew in so many people's attention, and Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, or now known as DEI Detected, was created because of Suicide Squad. And there's over 400,000 gamers who follow that list now to stay away from titles that are on that list. But now, of course, that Lesbian Mrs. Freeze has released, Rocksteady's actually been fairly silent. Maybe over the weekend they will make some more statements, but as of right now, they've really only made 2 posts on X saying, oh yeah, Mrs. Freeze is out. I think they know at this point that the game is dead, that really nobody is supporting it, and there's no way that new people are actually going to swipe their credit cards on this game. But because they have put out this character, that means there's other new additional content being added, like her skins. And boy, oh boy, has this reignited the hate that people have for this game. I've said this for a very long time. So many people have said this for a very long time. DEI ruins art. Because if you are focused on DEI, you're going down a checklist. You don't want to offend people. You want to create content that's viewed as inclusive as possible. You want to be creating things for a specific reason to push a specific narrative. And that is exactly what has happened here. This is another prime example as to why DEI kills art. These right here are the outfits they thought were going to get people to swipe their credit card or get excited over this game. And I guess maybe the 500 people that are actually playing this are the modern audience they've always wanted this game to appeal to. But clearly 500 people are not going to keep a game afloat, because out of those 500 people, how many are going to play the next character and the character after that? You need to constantly be bringing in a stream of new people, and there's no way that that is happening with this game. They decided to add in a Pride outfit pack, and of course, again, developers are allowed to do this. They're allowed to make the wokest game they could want. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that people like you and I have to support it. And we can also heavily criticize it now. We were already criticizing Mrs. Freeze because she's a gender-swapped Victor who, yes, does still have Nora as a wife, so it's a gender-swapped lesbian Mrs. Freeze. And they decided to give her the nickname Wife Gal, which is questionable as well, but they decided to throw this Mod Podge together, all these different textures, different colors. I mean, even just the base character model with the suit is so extremely bulky. There is not a hint of femininity in this character, and there are characters out there that are females that are pretty masculine and pretty strong, and they're clearly not like a typical feminine character, but you can still make them look pretty attractive, and that's not happening here. They made her look as manly as possible, and then you take that model and you add just this vomit of color and texture on top. It looks like, honestly, one of the worst outfits I've ever seen in a video game. Then we have this one, Mrs. Freeze, Mark of Intelligence, and again, with like this bright neon color, it's the purple and green, and then you've just got like the random silver boots. It's like, why didn't they make those purple as well? Did they just get totally lazy and decide to not recolor those? It just looks like half-assed. All these outfits honestly look half-assed. Then we have historic, cool, classic pack. There is not a single outfit for this character that even looks remotely decent. I mean, this is truly the clown pack. That's all that this boils down to. They decided to add in a set of skins that are just from this clown world that absolutely nobody could have ever asked for. Even the people who want to support, a Pride outfit pack, I just can't see them supporting this one in the way that it looks. Again, you can create outfits that look at least semi-decent, and they just did not put any effort into this character, into the outfit packs, or really into this game. And it's so sad to know that this is happening, that they just have no respect for the people they need to sell products to. I mean, this is a slap in the face even to the 500 members of the modern audience that they've got. This is just terrible. I cannot imagine that this game could get any worse at this point. And I know there's a lot of rumors circulating about the next DLC characters. There is a big rumor that's been spread around social media that Kevin Conroy did in fact record other voice lines for Batman, and they're going to bring Batman back into the fray, and he's going to be playable, which on one hand would be kind of cool, but at the same time, you've already taken with the base story such a disrespectful route. I don't see a way that they could change that or they could fix that. And I don't see a way they could draw Arkhamverse fans back into this game. I know I personally have absolutely no interest in this game, but I did still stream it at release. I tried to give it a chance, and it was terrible. Sweet Baby Inc. is definitely the company you go to when you know your game is not going to sell to anyone, so you try to market it towards a modern audience, which of course never show up to purchase games because there's only a couple hundred of those people out there from what we've seen time after time with games like Concord, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, and of course Suicide Squad. So it will be interesting to see how they turn this around, how the media defends this game, if Rocksteady says anything, if Sweet Baby decides to market this game. Probably not. They've been pretty quiet since the boycott started. But we have Mrs. Freeze, the outfits are terrible, character design is terrible, and everyone seems to be roasting Rocksteady. But that's all that I had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.